Rocksteady has done everything wrong with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and by hiring Sweet Baby Inc., they've definitely put even more of a target on the back of this game. But now we're finding out that the Battle Pass can be finished in a very generous 1,500 missions. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, greed knows no bounds, and with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, we have talked several times about how the launch game was not up to par. It shouldn't have released because it was buggy and glitchy, and it did have a lot of issues, but altogether, they didn't really listen to our feedback over the past month and a half since release, simply because they don't care about our feedback. They created a game that they claim they felt confident in, and while it's great that the devs were confident in it, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to sell. And now we're having, conversations about things like the Joker DLC, which you either had to grind old missions for or swipe your credit card for $10 to obtain. And now we actually have the Battle Pass, which can be finished in 1,500 missions. We hear all the time about Battle Passes being quite grindy, and while I completely understand that the developers ultimately want people to be playing their games for a long time over the length of a full season, having to, complete 1,500 missions to get all of the items in a battle pass is absurd. This is a Forbes article. It says, as I continue to study the decisions made in Kill the Justice League like some sort of science experiment, it's fascinating just how much this game has learned absolutely nothing from essentially any live service that's come before. Now, before this game even came out, we were having conversations about it being a live service and how greedy they really could get with this game. And it truly has been like a science experiment, watching before release all of the teasers and trailers get roasted, now seeing just how absolutely greedy they were and how they didn't even really talk about any of this before Season 1, because before Season 1 they were talking about how, battle passes are going to be free and the character additions are going to be free, and they really made it seem like they were going to be giving players a lot of really good high quality content, even though the bar is so low for high quality when you compare it to the base game. But it's not the case. Yeah, it's technically free, but it's not free in a way that makes it worthwhile to play. They make the amount of grinding an impossibility to achieve, so they can say, oh, well, you can technically get it by just playing the game. You don't have to buy it, when in reality, it's impossible unless you know life the game. And while I am willing to put hundreds to thousands of hours into games that I enjoy, you should not be forced to put hundreds of hours into a game in order to do something as simple as completing a battle pass. It says initially Suicide Squad's previewed Battle Pass was praised because of the fact that, unlike other games, though like Halo Infinite, it does not expire when a season ends. Now, yes, this was something that was actually praised. A lot of people thought that this was a genuinely good decision on their part, so that it's not like in Apex Legends where you have to pay for a Battle Pass or the premium version of the Battle Pass, and then you have to do it in a certain amount of time, which is usually like roughly 60 days. This was something that a lot of people were really happy with, and well, yes, they got praised for it, but we did not know the extent of their plans. It says that is indeed something to be praised, but when you understand the nature of the grind to get through just 75 levels of this thing, it's one of the most baffling things I've seen in the game yet, which is saying something. I mean, this game has been a nightmare from start to this point, which realistically should be finished. They should probably just stop development on this game because there's no way that it's going to go anywhere. But it says it is 1,000 Battle Pass XP to get through one rank of the Battle Pass, and this is separate from Season rank, the thing you have to grind to unlock Joker, and separate from Mastery rank, which increases the difficulty of incursions, and separate from Character XP, which levels up your squad and gives you bonus stats in the endgame. So none of this is, you know, like some unified system where if you gain XP from one thing, you're gaining XP for everything. That's not the case, and this is why the game is so scummy, is that they force you to do things over and over and over, and for different reasons, but it ends up being the most repetitive thing ever. It is not fair to consumers who spent $70 full at full release just to get, you know, slapped in the face by this level of greed. The fact that the developers thought that this was going to go over well is also baffling. Obviously, the Rocksteady that is in existence today is not the Rocksteady of the past that we all knew and that we all loved and that created amazing games, but it's still the Rocksteady name, and it is so sad to see this happening. It says it's probably closer to 200 hours in total, and that's, you know, an rough estimate. It really depends on how quickly you're actually doing all of these quests and how long you're actually, you know, taking in between. So it could be even more than 200 hours, which is just absolutely crazy. I had to play the base game, and that was really genuinely enough for me. I never want to touch this game again, and they really expect me to spend 200 hours on, you know, one battle pass, never mind when they keep releasing more. I mean, I think the cycle for them is roughly 90 days. And like I mentioned, I had to recently talk about the Joker and how that frustrated players because his addition to Kill the Justice League pushed players away due to the frustrating unlock requirements. Rocksteady forces players to grind previous levels to unlock Joker. It's not like they even created a lot of new content in order to unlock the Joker. If they created like a 20 quest line, I think that people would be okay with that because it's still new content in order to unlock him, but that is not what they did. They didn't think to actually put in the time and the effort. And then, of course, if you don't actually want to spend the dozens of hours trying to unlock him, getting all of this, you can just swipe your credit card for 10 measly dollars. They really want to force players to swipe their credit card with all of these free, additions that people did previously praise and say they did a good job on because they were free, but, well, it's not actually free. You're basically selling your soul in order to get the Joker or to complete this battle pass, and it's really no surprise to see why the scores for this game are so pathetic. I mean, a 3.6 user score is awful, and it's been sitting right around that since launch, and it does not deserve a single point higher. Honestly, it deserves to be much lower than this. I gave the game like a 2.5 to a 3 maximum, and that's on a generous day. This game is just an absolute and total failure, and honestly, it's kind of hilarious to see because they did not take any of our feedback into account, and they really tried to convince us that there was going to be so much free content and you were never going to have to swipe your credit card post-launch, but, well, they really force you into a corner and back you into this corner. And of course, it's just an entirely pathetic situation. They got people to buy this game under the guise of it was a continuation of the Arkhamverse. They promised that it was going to be, easily accessible DLC and all of these different things were going to be free. And ever since launch, they have just released disappointment after disappointment. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.